Every single day, a massive cargo vessel sits idle waiting to offload. It burns thousands of dollars in operating costs. Multiply that across the 50,000 merchant ships operating globally, and you have an industry where time is quite literally money. This financial meter ticking upward represents demurrage. It's the liquidated damages, often reaching tens of thousands of dollars a day, that a charterer must pay the shipowner when a vessel is delayed in port. Before those penalties apply, the charterer gets a specific grace period to load or discharge their cargo. This strict, penalty-free window is known as laytime. The catch is that this financial clock doesn't start automatically when the anchor drops. It is explicitly triggered by a formal legal document called a Notice of Readiness. Because the stakes are so high, the exact moment a ship legally enters a state of waiting determines whether a shipowner collects a massive demurrage payout or absorbs a catastrophic financial loss. For a valid Notice of Readiness, 3 conditions must be met simultaneously. First, the vessel must be an arrived ship at the exact geographical destination. Second, it must be physically ready, cargo holds swept clean. Third, it must be legally ready, with all paperwork approved. Ship operators are understandably eager to start the laytime clock, which leads to a common operational trap, tendering the notice prematurely. A captain might submit the document while the holds are still being washed, or while customs officials are still reviewing the paperwork. If even one of those 3 conditions is incomplete at the exact moment the notice is tendered, the document is legally void. Even if the ship is fully ready 5 minutes later and cargo operations proceed smoothly, an invalid notice means the laytime clock never started. The Notice of Readiness operates as a ruthless binary mechanism. A single missing checkmark can completely nullify a shipowner's right to claim hundreds of thousands of dollars in delay penalties. You would expect this exact same rigid standard to apply once a ship leaves the dock and enters the open ocean. In the 1962 case of the Hong Kong Fur, Kawasaki signed a 2-year contract to hire the vessel for a voyage from Liverpool to Osaka, requiring the ship to be seaworthy and fitted for ordinary cargo service. The reality on board was disastrous. The machinery was poorly maintained, the crew was insufficient, and the engineer a chronic drunkard. Looking at this timeline of the charter, you can see the disruption. The ship suffered engine breakdowns, resulting in 5 weeks off-hire during the voyage and another 15 weeks of repairs in Osaka, a total of 20 weeks of delay. By the time the ship was finally ready to sail again, market freight rates had fallen. Kawasaki seized the opportunity and formally terminated the remainder of the contract, citing the owner's failure to provide a seaworthy vessel. Kawasaki assumed that the seaworthiness clause was a strict condition. In their view, just like the strict requirements of a Notice of Readiness, failing to provide a competent crew instantly voided the agreement. The shipowner sued for wrongful repudiation, setting up a massive legal test. Do operational failures and delays at sea automatically destroy a multi-year, multi-million-dollar shipping agreement? The English Court of Appeal ruled in favor of the shipowner. Lord Justice Diplock declared that, despite the drunk engineer and the broken engines, Kawasaki had no legal right to cancel the contract. Up to that point, English contract law generally categorized terms into 2 strict boxes: conditions, where any breach allowed the victim to tear up the contract, and warranties, where a breach only entitled the victim to financial compensation. Diplock introduced a new category called the innominate term. Instead of deciding up front whether a rule was a condition or a warranty, courts now had to wait and see the actual real-world effect of the breach before allowing a cancellation. He established a new legal test. A party can only terminate the contract if the breach is so severe that it deprives them of substantially the whole benefit of the agreement. Kawasaki still had roughly 17 months of use left on a 2-year charter. Because they would still receive the vast majority of the contract's intended benefit, the 20-week delay was adequately fixed by paying damages, not by abandoning the deal entirely. This leaves maritime law balancing 2 seemingly contradictory forces: the unforgiving binary checklist of the Notice of Readiness at the dock, and the forgiving wait-and-see flexibility of the Hong Kong Fur doctrine out at sea. That contradiction exists by necessity. Crowded ports operate on razor-thin schedules with enormous daily overhead. They require the absolute strictness of the Notice of Readiness to prevent endless disputes over exactly when a ship arrived and who pays for the traffic jam. Long-term ocean voyages are chaotic. If every broken pipe, drunken sailor, or unexpected storm allowed parties to instantly terminate their agreements, no shipping contract would ever survive to completion. By enforcing a strict clock at the dock and granting a wide berth at sea, maritime law manages the risk. This dual system absorbs the inevitable realities of human error and mechanical failure, keeping the global supply chain from collapsing under the weight of opportunistic lawsuits.